Okay, so as Hognage was just saying, this is going to be about Sametime update. Again, my name is Ginny Saini, product manager for Sametime, and I think I've probably talked to a lot of you, a lot of it virtually, obviously, in the last year. But there's a lot of excitement around Sametime, right? We've released our 11.5 version last November, last fall. And we are really excited and gearing up for, all the last minute release wrap up activities, as you can imagine, for our next version that's coming up end of May. And that's our Sametime 11.6. So again, just before we get started, our tagline is your meeting, your data, double the value, right? So we want to give you ownership of your meetings, of your data, and again, at substantially lower cost than the competition around us. So that stays the same. We are staying the course with that tagline, and we are building, all the products and features and everything around that tagline and staying with our vows. That's my disclaimer slide, because you're going to see obviously some roadmap later on in the slides. And, again, a lot of things in the fall version is subject to change. So there's the disclaimer about that. The agenda I prepared for today, I was since I haven't talked to you guys directly in any events that we would have been, obviously with the whole virtual work from home environment here, right? So I wanted to kind of give you a quick update on, what is our product strategy for Sametime going forward. Sametime Premium 11.5 recap. A lot of you hopefully have already experienced it. We are in a Sametime meeting right now, obviously. And what's coming up in Sametime 11.6, right? We are building on top of all the 11.5 features we already have, bringing more functionality in the product, again, and staying with our course of your meeting, your data, double the value. And then I'm going to show you some Sametime roadmap, and we can take some Q&A after that. Okay, so again, just to remind one more time, everybody, right? So what our focus here for Sametime remains with this upcoming release and with the releases after that is it's your meeting, your data, double the value. We want to make sure whatever we are providing you, right, in terms of features, functionality, everything stays in terms of low TCO, right? The total cost of ownership when it comes to video conferencing, especially these days, right? I mean, each one of your employees needs it, all the users for any business, right, need this. So that's one of our main focus, to keep lower TCO for anything we are building after the 11.6 release, the 11.5 release as well. Ownership is another big one for us. We want to make sure, anything we are providing, right, any feature, any functionality in the product, right, it's built around owning your meetings, right? It's your data. It's about data security, data privacy, fully encrypted meetings. So all that is something that is on top of our mind, right, as we are building these features. And beyond that, on the right there, what you see there is, our strategy, our initiative towards converting Sametime into the digital workplace for tomorrow, right? So it's giving you a virtual office experience, all staying in sort of one product and building features and functionality around it that keeps giving you, right, what you need to get your work done every day as you are in this digital workplace environment. And you'll see, hopefully, in the next few slides, it will, tell you all the stuff that we are planning to do around our digital workplace initiative as well. Okay, so Sametime Premium 11.5. So just quick recap. All the core features, again, that we delivered for 11.5. It's single-click video meetings. It's got persistent chat in it that goes beyond meetings. It kind of gets back to your chat client, and you can continue the conversation afterwards. We already have a mobile app. It's both iOS and Android. And all the functionality that we are building for 11.6 is also being integrated in the mobile app as well. So it's single app, chat and meetings. Stuff around meeting ownership, right? You can create a persistent meeting room that you can use if you like for each and every meeting, right, throughout the day. Those are your personal rooms. We have recordings, obviously, in the meetings. Now, meeting controls, again, we have presenter controls where you can, if you're an owner or a moderator, you can mute all participants, you can stop videos if there are distractions. Blur backgrounds are already there, and we're going to do more around that, obviously, in the later releases as well. Now, about passcodes, there's already password protected meetings available to you, and we already have a lock meeting feature as well, where you can lock your meeting once everybody's in for additional security. Chat as an app is something that we released with 11.5 as well. It was our progressive web app, and I use it each and every day, right? I love the experience, how lightweight it is. You can dock it on your laptop, right? It's not sitting in a browser where you can, sometimes you get lost in various tabs that are open throughout the day. So PWA for our chat is something that is our focus going forward to keep adding more features and functionality there as well. Now, moderated meetings is another thing, right? So you can keep your meeting open or make your meeting moderated, where you can assign moderators, assign presenters to your meetings. So with that was our 11.5, right? So talking about deployment, again, it's your meeting, your deployment, your choice, right? You can do on-premise, you can keep everything on-premise, you can go cloud or hybrid, it's your choice, right? It could be a private cloud. Obviously, we have our CHMSPs who can host it as well, if that's the choice you want to make, or you can keep it some form of hybrid, right? Where you have some components that you would like to be on-prem versus, sort of a private cloud deployment. So we give you options, right, in choice. And I try to capture some of these on the right-hand side, right, where you might want to look at what is the best choice for you, whether you want to go cloud or whether you want to go on-prem, right? So again, it depends on what type of industry you are in, right? What's the business you are in, and what helps you the most, right? It's about complexity versus, if you are in a regulated industries, for example, right? Sometimes there is no choice to go to any cloud, public or private. So in those cases, you got to stay with the on-prem deployment. Okay, so this is a snapshot of, what different clients that we have, right? You can obviously use browser-based client. It's, again, single-click meetings, right? It just opens up your browser and there's nothing to install, and you're right there with audio and video in your meeting. We did release a desktop client for meetings as well. It was released as a tech preview, I believe, end of February this year. So if you haven't tried it, and by the way, that is the client I'm using right now as I'm talking in this meeting. And that's something, is what my preference is, since, again, that's something I can dock on my laptop. So it's sort of, an experience that gives you where you can easily find your meetings and you don't have to look for, something in the browser if you don't want to. So there's an option there too. PWA for chat is already available for you. We have mobile app, and we have the notes embedded client, right? That's already integrated as well for our notes clients. So let's talk about roadmap themes before I talk about 11.6, right? So to give you an idea of what are we thinking when we are building all the features that are coming and beyond our 11.6 release as well, right? So wanted to capture the main swim lanes, if you will, right, that are on our minds as we are building these features. Obviously, number one is it's about the end user experience, right? We want to make sure we keep adding features and functionality that our end users can take advantage of, right? That they are looking for. That makes their life easier, right? That makes getting their work done all day long in these online meetings easier. So definitely that's a big focus, right? For convenience, what can we keep adding or giving to our end users? Integrations is another one. And on that note, we did release our 11.5 IF1 proxy, if some of you may have deployed it. So we did refresh our web chat APIs in that release. And that goes back to Worse, where if you have, for example, Worse, and you have deployed that new proxy, you should be able to now see the new look and feel of the web chat, Sametime chat, within Verse. And we are going beyond that too, right? We are trying to improve how can we make that experience better in terms of having a chat experience right inside Verse, right? So again, integrations is a big focus for us. Cloud native, meetings again is fully cloud native already. It's fully containerized. You can install it, Docker, Kubernetes. We support all that with meetings in any private cloud. Our chat initiative is ongoing, and you'll see a couple of things. You'll be able to get a preview of our chat fully cloud native through experience through our 11.6 previews that we are doing, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes here too. But for 11.7 release, we will be releasing a GA version of fully cloud native chat as well. So our target is by fall release, we want to give you a fully cloud native chat and meeting solution. And then again, the digital office, right? So just keep building. What our focus is to keep building features, functionality, in terms of end user experience, deployment that converts Sametime itself into a digital office, a digital workplace for everyone. Okay, so 11.6. Let's talk about that. What's coming in end of May? I tried to put these in again, the 3 swim lanes that are our focus, the ones you saw where it's your meeting, your data, double the value, right? So that first one you see is sort of the features that are coming that speak to the cost aspect of it. And then in the middle, you see the ownership and the privacy, right? And then in the third swim lane there, you see the digital workplace initiative for us. So the first one you see in that first bucket there is telephony, right? So telephony was something, when we release, it's interesting, right? When we release our last release, right, back in November, obviously last year, telephony demand wasn't huge, right? Everybody was at home working, always on the laptops. So, we didn't quite see a lot of interest in, you got to absolutely have to have telephony, right? So this was something that as we started building Sametime 11.6, right? And as people started to be on the move, right? I mean, even if you are in your car driving somewhere, I've heard from a lot of channels, right, where there is a need for telephony, even internally here at HCL, right, as we have rolled out Sametime throughout HCL Digital Solutions, everybody's using it. There's a lot of people who ask for telephony, right, within Sametime meetings. So that is coming with 11.6, and if you haven't read, we did post a blog about our partnership with iLink on this. iLink is our telephony partner, who is providing this feature, integrated within Sametime out of the box. So definitely that's something, that's a big feature when it comes to, in terms of you're on the move, right, and you need that flexibility for dialing into meetings. Multi-tenancy support is coming as well with Sametime 11.6 for meetings. That's something I've heard from a lot of our CHMSPs as well, right? They are looking forward to this. And clustering and high availability, whether it comes to Mongo or our chat servers, right, our meeting servers. So that's, again, coming out of the box. It's more of an improved clustering and high availability, right? We had stuff already built in to 11.5. We have added additional improved clustering and high availability with 11.6. In the middle, you see that's something, I think a lot of people, it'll resonate with a lot of people here, right? Where we are going to now support up to 100 people in one meeting. And I've heard this quite a bit, right? And it was interesting as we were building 11.5, right? Our focus was to give you a small team meeting sort of meetings experience, right? Not a event-based experience, but yet, right? I mean, it's the reality here is, as everybody's in these virtual meetings every day, right? There are a lot of sort of large meetings that are happening. Most of us have worldwide teams, right, where we need to either give updates, talk to each other weekly. So there has been a need, and I've again heard it from a lot of channels, right, where people are looking for, I want something that also supports my large team, right? Everybody can be here. Make it an interactive meeting, in other words, right? It's not, keep in mind, the 100 participants in meeting is not sort of, listen in only meeting, right? It is an interactive meeting where all 100 participants can talk, if the moderator gives them access, it's a lecture style meeting, for example. So again, up to 100 participants in a meeting, and you can convert that meeting into lecture style. So that's another layer you can go on top of the actual meeting, right? Because sometimes 100 participant meeting could be disruptive. It's just too many people. If you have all the open mics you're trying to manage, there's noise on the line. You can easily convert that with a click of a button. Again, there'll be an option where you can convert it into a lecture style. And now you have a moderator. Everybody's mics will be off, cameras will be off, they'll be disabled. And a moderator can pick and choose, right click on a participant name and make them a speaker. So at that point, that user will have the ability to turn on his mic, turn on his camera, and ask a question, for example. So lecture style meetings are something, that you would like to use in sort of a listen-in only mode meeting, right, where you don't want disruption. Maybe presenters are presenting and you want to take Q&A at the end. And at that point, moderators can make or promote anybody to a speaker. End-to-end encryption, that's another option that we're going to provide. It's coming in as a preview mode. It's just because there's a lot, right, that can go into end-to-end encryption, right? It's something that we're going to keep building on top of and keep adding more and more security layers to it, right? But what we're coming out with 11.6 is our initial preview mode for end-to-end encrypted meetings. Recordings and moderator management, those are some things that we made a lot of improvements in 11.6. Things like I record a meeting and I don't know where that is. Later on, I always get those kind of questions, right? So now those recordings will be sitting right on your homepage in a tab. And moderator management is something we heard from a lot of you, right? Where in 11.5, you had to have somebody join your meeting to make them a moderator, which was not so convenient, right? So we've now made it, you're able to assign a moderator even if that moderator isn't there right in your meeting. And the third bucket is the Outlook meetings plugin. Again, if you guys are Outlook users, if anybody here is using Outlook, I'm sure you'll miss, how easy it is to add a Teams meeting to Outlook, obviously, because it's all Microsoft. But wouldn't it be nice to have a button, right? A same time button right in your Outlook calendar UI. You click that, and all it does is automatically adds all the details of the meeting. If it has dial-in, since now we have telephony, there can be dial-in details. Everything is already pasted in your calendar, and you just click send, and there you go. So that's coming as well with 11.6. And it's looking, I used it the other day, and it's looking great. It's really convenient, when you're in Outlook client trying to use same time meetings. A lot of chat enhancements. You can pin conversations. There are unread batch counts for unread chats. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto is something that is coming as well with 11.6. This might be delayed. There's just some issues we have hit with Apple entitlements that might take time, but this is a feature that will automatically appear in your mobile app, right? So if you don't get it on the day of 11.6 GA, this might be delayed a little bit, just to keep in mind. But again, this is something that'll happen automatically via mobile update. And this is pretty cool, right, in terms of convenience. If you have a car that supports that, it's a really cool UI experience on the infotainment center in your car. Updated web chat APIs, I spoke about that. We already released that, and that gives you sort of an updated web chat experience in Words. And Meetings desktop app, we did release that as a tech preview. Just a quick sneak peek of what's coming in fall. And again, some of these things are subject to change, based on requirements. And as we start building our UX here, right? So you might see things shuffle around a bit. Maybe more will be added and some might be taken off this list. But just to give you an idea of what's coming, right? The cloud native chat, a fully containerized solution. We have, a lot of ideas in our hub about meeting reports. And as people need them every day in meetings, right? So that's something we are focusing on to give you an ability to create a report, create some kind of polling or more of a voting feature in meetings, right? Where could be as simple as a thumbs up and down, right? You put a question out there and you take a vote, right? Where the users just click on, whether it's a yay or a nay sort of thing, right? So that's coming as well in the fall. Company branded meetings and chat is something, again, we've heard from a lot of our customers. They would like to add, their logo, their company name in meetings UI. That will be coming too. SDK update is a big one for us, right? We want to release a full-fledged SDK for chat in meetings. And mind you, this is already something, for example, meetings is something that comes out of the box today, right? Even with 11.5, we have Swagger-based APIs for meetings, and we're going to release the similar Swagger-based APIs for chat as well, and do our full-fledged SDK release, right, where it's documentation, samples, and all that stuff that goes with SDK. Other things you see, admin UI dashboard is something we want to focus on. Support for file stores and shares, right? That's important for when you talk about digital workplace. We are trying to build sort of a file store where you can now, share files in your meetings, in your chat, and other things you see here, right? A lot of chat enhancements planned and other things like connections integration too. So again, stay tuned for the fall release as well after you look at our spring release. Now, so let's talk about digital workplace, right? So this was that third bucket that you saw before as well, right, in our wows. What is it that we are thinking when we are thinking of digital workplace, right? So having a meeting with, a few of your team members, you talk, somebody shares something, all that is important, right, as you get your work done all day long. But then after the meeting ends, a lot of stuff, including us here within HCL, right? Everybody who's working virtually, right? A lot of stuff needs to happen, is happening, outside of those meetings too, right? So whether it's content that was shared, something else that needed to be worked on. So keeping that in mind, right? What our focus here is, how could we give you within this, staying in this meetings experience, right? How can we tie down what I call synchronous versus asynchronous experience, right? So synchronous is, you like we are talking here, right? We are all talking to each other in a meeting, live meeting, right? Sharing content, sharing ideas. But then when the meeting ends, you don't want to lose everything that happened in this meeting, right? Maybe there were some notes taken right in the meeting. Maybe there were files shared. There's chat, obviously. So we want to preserve all that and sort of create this into a persistent space, right? So where everything is preserved and saved, and anybody can go back to it. So think of it as you can go to an quote unquote offline meeting, if that makes sense, right? So you can open your meeting room, you can see what was done, you can add your update if you need to, get some files, or maybe you need to look at the chat transcript, something was shared, right? But then you're not really in that meeting because you haven't clicked the button to join the live meeting, right? So if there is a meeting in progress, you might see it in the center here. And then you can click a button right to hit there. You see meeting in progress, but you'll see join meeting, for example, if the meeting is actually live. So again, this is sort of our initiative towards how can we give you the digital workplace synchronous and asynchronous experience where all the work needs to happen, not just within a live meeting, right, but beyond that. So hopefully this gives you an idea on where we're going with Sametime here. Another sneak peek of here, what this digital workplace will look like. Again, on the right, you see here is our that quote unquote workplace, right? That's the place you'll go, you'll fire up, right? And again, a lot of these, as we are working with our UX designers, all this stuff is subject to change. Let me just make sure, you're not looking at, this is not a full-fledged final product here, right? So what we're trying to, what I'm trying to show you here is, right, what is our thinking in terms of what are we building here, right? It's a persistent integrated space. It has all the artifacts that go with a meeting, right? There's chat, there's members, right? And you can even think of as member management, right? So you could put another layer where now you assign members to this quote unquote persistent space, right? And only those members can enter this space and nobody else, right? And then again, we're talking about calendar integration. That becomes important as well in this digital workplace model. And then, there's some collaborative notes that were taken, and everybody can look at those even after the meeting ends. So everything that you see in this meeting stays here forever, right? Until somebody needs to delete this space. So lots of features on the left you'll see that we are targeting for this digital workplace as well. And that's my last slide. And again, I do want to remind about AHA. It is our place where you can add any and all of your crazy ideas. No idea is too crazy here. And please keep them coming. That definitely helps us prioritize what we need to focus on. There's just tons of stuff in our mind, in my backlog, I see for Sametime, chat, and meetings. It would definitely help if you guys keep voting on ideas or create a new one if you have one. We'd really appreciate that. Hopefully I stayed on time here. And let's see.
Yes, you did. We have a couple of quick questions. There was one question. When you said no internet on-prem, what does that exactly mean?
So I think that went back to the deployment, right, slide. So we have customers, for example, you can imagine, right, they have their own data center. They have no access, or they cannot have access to internet. So things like, if you want a stun server is one of the requirements, for example, for meetings, right, where we out of the box configure Google stun server, and that requires internet access. If you can't, as a business, have that in your data center, there are ways around it where you can use some other stun server, for example. So I think the point I was trying to convey was, if you can't have access to the outside internet from your own data center on-prem, you can still have Sametime full-fledged chat and meetings deployment functional and running right in the data center.